Hello everyone, I'm the Xenosoul, and this is going to be a tier list video of all the Spaceborne creatures in Stellaris, or at least all the ones I know of. These include the machine ones and the void creatures, corrupted avatars, all that kind of stuff, not just organic ones. So, without any further ado, let's get into this much shorter video than my normal videos. Let's start with the Scrapper. I say the Scrapper definitely goes into S tier, with the text that it gives you and the aesthetics overall. In this tier list, I'm basically going to be doing a little mix of the aesthetics and the actual mechanics that the thing introduces. It's not purely aesthetic, and it's also not purely mechanic. It's pretty much just my own opinion. So, yeah, I like the Scrapper. It gives you really cool text. The aesthetic of the Scrapper is really cool. The system it's in is very cool. The backstory is cool. Everything about the Scrapper is just really awesome. And you can't go wrong with the Scrapper. And the nanite tech, chef's kiss on top of a great creature. So next we'll go with the automated Dreadnut. I'm pretty sure this goes in A, because it's cool and it's a very useful thing. Even in the late game, this ship is very useful if you tame it. But yeah, overall it's not S. It's not S tier, but it's definitely a very cool Spaceborne thing here. And very useful as well. So I'd say A is a fair placement for it. Also, the backstory is cool. I mean, an automated Dreadnut that like slipped out of space and came back, and you know is still operational. It's cool. It's a cool thing. Useful as well. But it's still got to be A. It's not S. I'm sorry. It's not. The space dragons. This includes the big drake that you find from Leviathans and the L drakes and all of that stuff. Not the shard. This is the shard. But all the other dragons. I'd say probably B or C. I'm putting it in C for now, but it might move up to B later. It's just not all that interesting. And the lithoid transgenesis thing it gives you when you kill it, like the Leviathan version, is not all that good. I think it's like army damage and a very little amount of of alloys per pop, and the other mechanics that come along with it are just not very notable, like the situation. A lot of these things are like mechanically just situations, and I think 3 of them have lithoid transgenesis perks, the void guy and then one of the other ones. But yeah, and the Matriarch. And this lithoid transgenesis and the situation is just not all that good mechanically, and it's also just not that interesting of a creature. I mean, a dragon in space is cool. It's not D tier, but that's about it. It's also very old. I've been playing the game for a long time, and this guy's been there the whole time. But the shard, I guess we could put the shard in B tier, just because the shard, you can actually talk to it. It has some personality. It has a archaeology site, and of course it gives you the rubricator and a 25 size relic world. So, I'm talking it up a lot. Might even want to go into A tier, but we'll do top of B tier for now. It's very cool. I very much appreciate the shard, and he's a hoarder, so you gotta love hoarders. Yeah, I think shard definitely goes into B tier above its regular dragon and Eldrake and all the other stuff counterparts. And then the third and final type of dragon is the sea dragon that you get from aquatics and from the origin. I think this is A tier for sure. I mean, you can make more of these guys. You can interact with it. It's a cool origin. It's powerful. It's useful. It has some events. I mean, yeah, this is definitely an A tier dragon. Not above the Dreadnut, but you know what? Maybe above the Dreadnut. I mean, it has events and all that stuff. So, well, the Dreadnut also has stuff you can do with it. I think it has like a pilot or something, right? It at least talks. No, I think the sea dragon is definitely more interesting and more useful because you can make more of them. Yeah, and there's a star base building, and then there's an origin and all that stuff. Yeah, definitely A tier, I think. Then we have the Matriarch. I love the Tainiki, but the Matriarch is not all that cool, unfortunately. Maybe a little cooler than the dragon, but mechanically it's pretty useless unless you're... Actually, mechanically it is useless unless you're a hive mind or a engineered evolution, a cloning enjoyer, which I normally am, but still, even then it's not very useful. The lithoid transgenesis thing, the trait that it gives you, And if you don't know what lithoid transgenesis is, like, you can get a tech that gives you traits from the Leviathans you kill, and this one is just not very good. It's like some pop assembly, which is useless for most empires. Like, not robot assembly, pop assembly trait. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's really useless. And then the situation that it gives you on your home world or wherever world it gives you the situation is also giving you assembly, and it also minuses stability. So it's actually a net negative if you do this event, if you do this situation on a world and you're not a hive mind or a engineered evolution enjoyer, cloning enjoyer. So yeah, it's just pretty terrible. You know what? Actually, just the mechanics of it is really bringing it down. It's definitely cool, like the Tayaniki Matriarch, but there's so much Tayaniki stuff in the game that's cooler and does more stuff that it's just not, yeah, it's just not all that cool. It's not D tier. You can't put the Tayaniki Matriarch in D tier because it is cool, but yeah, C tier is as high as it can go, I think. Then we have the Dimensional Horror, which also includes the Worm and the Elder One, if you know what those events are. And yeah, it's got to go top of S tier. Like, the Worm goes in the top of S tier. I'm sorry. Yeah, and the Elder One, also top of S tier. And even the Dimensional Horror is cool. I mean, look at that thing. It just comes out of another dimension from a black hole and just, it's just awesome. And then the, what is it, like the Dimensional Horror tissue that it gives you on the capital, or not capital, but you know, wherever the situation for the you know, the piece of them that was left goes. It's a really cool situation. It's probably my favorite situation as well, for the regular Dimensional Horror. But yeah, even the regular Dimensional Horror would probably go in the top of S tier, but the Worm and the Elder One as well, yeah, they can't go any lower than the top of S tier. I'm sorry. Then we have the Toxic God, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but mechanically pretty lackluster. I mean, it is cool. It's got to go into A, but I think the bottom of A, just because mechanically it's not all that great. It's basically just one big tank that you can use in your empire. You don't really want to use it even as well. But of course, the coolness factor and the backstory with the one of the best origins of the game, really, the Knights of the Toxic God, it's got to be at least A. You can also kill it and get a relic, so that's kind of mechanically cool, but mechanically pretty boring, but aesthetically definitely one of the top. I mean, if this thing had like more mechanics and you could do more with it, it might go even above the Scrapper maybe. But you know, it is what it is. It is a Toxic God, and you can get it to listen to you eventually, or you can kill it and get a relic. You know. Then we have the Wraith. This thing spawns in the mid game, or at least it's supposed to. I've seen it spawn pretty freaking early, and it just basically goes through different systems and can wreck your stuff. It doesn't take prisoners. If it attacks a starbase, it's gone. So no matter what starbase you have there, you're gonna have to rebuild it all the way from scratch if it destroys it, which is really annoying. But we can't put it in D tier. It's just too cool. I think maybe top of B, low of A. I mean, it's the only Leviathan that can move through systems while also being hostile, I'm pretty sure. Well, only the of the original Leviathans, of course, but this thing really mechanically is very cool, and aesthetically it's cool too. The backstory and just the way it looks. I mean, look at that thing. That is one cool space creature. So I gotta give it A, even though how annoying it is. Maybe I'll do B if B tier is lacking in the future. Then we have the Enigmatic Cache. Yeah, the Enigmatic Cache is not all that cool. I mean, it can do some really cool things, but I have 3,000 plus hours in this game, and I have never seen it do the cool things that it can do, because it has to survey like every system in the galaxy. It has to be activated and then survey every system in the galaxy. So normally it just comes to your systems and sits above a planet and doesn't do much else, and you can't even really attack it. So yeah, I think the Enigmatic Cache is going to be our first D tier. I mean, it's a cool thing. I guess it's something that, you know, enigmatic spaceship that goes around learning things. I mean, that's cool. But other than that, it's just pretty useless. I mean, maybe if I ever even seen it once, survey the whole galaxy and then come back and then give me a cool bonus like it's supposed to. But I play on large galaxies and medium galaxies, so I've never seen it do it once. Not once. So D tier. Just kind of mopes around and increases research sometimes. Then we have the enigmatic fortress. I'm also going to include the infinity machine because they're pretty similar. The infinity machine, I'll do first. I think the infinity machine is definitely cooler than an enigmatic fortress, but they're about the same. They can probably go B. So the infinity machine and the enigmatic fortress, you get good bonuses from them. It's not bad. They're also very old, so the coolness factor goes away. But the main thing that brings them all the way into B, above the shard and everything, is just... Actually, I don't think they go above the shard, in fact. I'm taking that back. Below the shard, above the Matriarch and the Dragon, is that they have different things you can do. Like the infinity machine, for example, you can make it a divine machine, or you can hack it, or you can... I think you can even attack it or something. I don't know. You can do a lot of different things. And the enigmatic fortress also has some different storylines that you can do. Some different ways of cracking it. So, yeah, they're both cool things, but not all that interesting. They have some choice, unlike a dragon. A dragon has no choice. You just kill it, and then you can get its terrible trait or its mediocre situation. So, yeah. Then we have the Void Spawn. The Void Spawn's pretty cool. Its Lithoid Transgenesis trait is actually probably the only good one. It's like plus 50% habitability or something, so that's good. And it also looks cool. I mean, it looks cooler than the dragons, in my opinion, the drakes. Maybe not the sea dragon. The sea dragon's cool looking, but yeah, this guy's cool, and he hatches from a planet, which is really cool. All around, this guy's pretty cool. Storyline-wise, and mechanically, it's not bad either. So, I mean, mechanically, it can be pretty bad if you settled on its egg, but, yeah. Lithoid Transgenesis is good. The way it looks is really cool. I really like the way it looks, so... I can't give it above the shard, because the shard actually does cool things. This does cool things too, but it's definitely above the Infinity Machine and the Enigmatic Fortress. Yeah, I think B, Center of the Road, is where it goes. It's cool, but it's not anything really truly special. Then, speaking of not truly special, we have Vlur, which I don't think you can even see the thing, but this is the Vlur event. I didn't even find a picture for the Vlur. No one cares about the Vlur. It's going in the bottom of the tier list. That's just how it is. It's the Vlur. It makes the system into a storm, which is pretty cool. But other than that, it's just pretty lackluster, very forgettable. It's Vlur. I don't know. I don't even think I've ever killed it. I haven't found a reason to, but I know what happens when you kill it, and it's not much. So, Vlur, sure, why not? Then we have the corrupted avatars. These can spawn in many different ways. They can spawn as like something guarding a system, or they can spawn from the shroud and then be on your side, or spawn from the shroud and not be on your side. I think they spawn a bunch of them if you're the Crisis when you start ripping open the shroud. It's pretty cool. There's very cool ways these things can spawn in, but mechanically they're basically just one big blob of meanness. They're just a big enemy type basically. So I can't give them too much points. I can't put them in B tier. They're just cool enemies, I guess. That's about it, really. Corrupted avatars. They have different cool ways. That's why they go above the Matriarch and the Eldrake. They have many different cool ways of getting into the game, but mechanically they're pretty bland. And even visually they're pretty bland, so the storylines behind why these things are here are really the only thing that's carrying them above everything else in C tier. Okay, then we have the Stellarite Devourer, which is just very cool. It's a very cool thing. I mean, it eats a star, and mechanically it's pretty cool. It's got that decision where you can consume stars as an espionage event, and then it also has that thing where you can reignite the star that it's in. I think, yeah, and just aesthetically it's amazing. Like, a giant space creature eating a star for energy. I mean, look at that thing. It's awesome. Yeah, no, it's got to go in A. Probably above the Wraith. It looks cooler than the Wraith, and it's nicer than the Wraith for sure. I mean, the Wraith still goes around and destroys your crap, so yeah, I think the Stellarite Devourer definitely beats it. Yeah, I think that's a good place for it. A tier, definitely. Very cool thing. And, of course, reigniting the star is also very cool. Then we have the Amoeba, which is the kind of like the standard Spaceborne creature in Stellaris. It's kind of like what you think of when you think of a Spaceborne creature in Stellaris. It's like the regular one. So, while it can't be an S, just because it's the regular one, I definitely say it's got to be an A somewhere. Yeah, I'd be willing to put the Wraith down here just to make this tier list look a little better. Yeah, the Wraith is top of B, and Amoeba is like mid A. Yeah, I'd say right here. The Amoeba's cool. You can get bubbles out of it. You can do a lot of things. You can reanimate them. You can pacify them. You can attack. You can hunt them. They have that system that is a home system, which is pretty cool. They're pretty cool overall. They've been in the game for a long time though, and you know, I've seen plenty of Amoebas in my time. So, but even then, yeah, they're still A. I mean, they're below the Toxic God and above the freaking thing that eats stars. So that's not a bad position. I'd say A, yeah. Then we have not A. The crystalline entities. I'd say maybe D. I mean, they're kind of cool, I guess. I mean, their home system is really cool. They can have some really powerful crystalline entities systems where there's a lot of crystalline entities. And the plus 5% energy from jobs is nice when you kill them and research them. Or when you do the first contact thing and then research them. But other than that, pretty boring. They have the crystal infused plating tech, which I also don't like. Yeah, it's just overall not really interesting. I mean, they're just crystals that are alive. They're mainly just an annoyance in the early game. Speaking of annoyance in the early game, I guess we'll also do the void creatures. They're slightly cooler, I guess. Oh, actually, you know what? No, they're not. They're kind of just big void clouds, aren't they? They give 10% physics when you're done researching and first contacting with them, but other than that, they're just big clouds that annoy you in the early game. Yeah, they're not cool mechanically, they're not cool aesthetically. Yeah, D tier, definitely. Above Vlur. Actually, you know what? Below Vlur. I don't like void clouds, now that I'm thinking about it. Even Vlur is cooler than a void cloud. In fact, Vlur is kind of cooler than crystalline entities, too. I'm going to move these two down here. Yeah, they've also been in the game forever and just overall pretty boring. I mean, the crystallines are definitely cooler because of their, like, systems, and just the way they look is cooler as well. And, you know, a sentient crystal entity thing that, like, kind of reproduces weirdly. I mean, that's cool, I guess. Cooler than a void cloud. Yeah, I think that works out. Then finally we have the drones. I mean, if anything of the regular, I guess you could say, Spaceborne creatures goes into S tier, it's got to be the drones, because they have the drone expansion fleet, which is really cool. They have the drone home system, which is really cool, and just the overall aesthetics of the drones, like ancient mining drones that, you know, whatever Empire told them to mine is long gone. They're just automatically mining still. I mean, that's cool. And they look cool as well. And they have the mining drone laser, which isn't too good, but they have the thing that gives you what is it? 10% extra mining station minerals? Yeah, so that's really good. I mean, 10% extra mining station minerals. Yeah, I mean, it's just really good. If any of the regular ones, the regular Spaceborne entities go into S tier, it's got to be the drones. I mean, the expansion fleet, the way they expand is cool. Everything about them is cool. And when you go into their home system and defeat them, that is also very nice. So, yeah, and it gives you the Surveyor relic if you do that, if you destroy their home system. So, yeah, they got to be S tier. Yeah, I definitely think S tier. And then last but not least, the peaceful little space whales, the Tayaniki. You know, I'd say they also got to go into S tier. I mean, there's no going wrong with the Tayaniki. They're just cool space whales that just give a lot of atmosphere to the galaxy. They look cool. They're peaceful. They don't do much mechanic-wise, but like story-wise, they are one of the most rich things in the game. I mean, they have the Matriarch. They have their home system, Tyanika Vec. They have their death system, which the name is escaping me right now. And they have an archaeology site on the death system. And they have different things you could do with them. And I always always vote to protect them with the Tayaniki Conservation Act in the galactic community. They're just great. I mean, you can't go wrong with peaceful space whales. They've never done anything to you. So yeah, I think everything in this tier list looks good where it is. Of course, this whole tier list is just my opinion. I mean, I mainly based everything on the cool factor and how much it impacts the game, which is both subjective, so feel free to leave in the comments if you have any differing opinions. And yeah, if you like the video, subscribe, whatever, or don't. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.